Transport Minister Fikile Mbalula will this morning release the preliminary festive season statistics in Tshwane. This is as the number of holiday makers is expected to peak ahead of Christmas. Mnisi is also on this leg of the story. He's live to us now on the R80 in Soshanguve, the Mabopane highway at least. And Linda, it's great to see you. We'll speak about what the Transport Minister is likely to say in just a moment. I just want to touch on that report that you've been able to put together around the state of the accommodation for some of our police. It's a bit sobering, for lack of a better term, to see that this is one of the problems that the police are facing in a context where we need as many of them on the ground as possible during this festive season.
Absolutely, and you'll remember that it's not only just police officers that are from Gauteng. So we're told that it's police officers that are from various parts of the country that have been brought in to beef up security on the N1 as well as the N3 highway. We know that these roads are usually busy with holiday makers making their way on the N1 to Limpopo and of course the N3 to KwaZulu-Natal or Durban. So essentially what the officers are complaining about is how, if you can see behind me, they interact with quite a number of people on a daily basis as they conduct these roadblocks. They do, of course, make several arrests and interact amongst each other. And when they come back in the evening, there's very, very little social distancing. They can barely move in those rooms. So they're saying that the risk of contracting COVID-19 is exacerbated by them having to share these rooms. We know that about 90 of them have been made to share these rooms. They form part of over 200 member deployment that has been brought into Gauteng. So essentially they're saying that another thing that is quite a big concern is the issue of their firearms not having space or safes to be kept and protected. This, of course, raises the issue around the danger of having a firearm in the open. So what happens then when the police officer is off duty and they happen to step out of the hotel room, leaving that firearm there? You know that the hotel staff would come in to clean the room, make sure that it's clean. So what happens then if they come across that firearm and one of them just decides to perhaps touch it? So those are the concerns that they are raising. And we saw yesterday, the unions also coming into this issue, saying that these are some of the issues that need to be raised because it seems these incidents happen quite often.
Yeah.
Ayanda?
Of course, the other concern, as you've rightly mentioned, Linda, is that the last thing we need is those officers also being the vehicle through which COVID-19 is passed on, in a stroke of irony. But, I mean, with that in mind, help us place perhaps this briefing that we're looking forward to today from the Transport Minister around the latest road stats.
Yeah, so as you can see behind me, the roadblocks have already started in anticipation of the arrival of the Transport Minister, Fikile Mbalula. He won't be coming alone. The MEC for Roads and Transport in Gauteng, Jacob Mamabolo, will also be joining him. We know that the RTMC CEO will also be amongst those that are arriving. In fact, Ayanda, from where I'm standing, I think the minister is arriving. So what is expected today will, of course, be that those statistics, those preliminary festive statistics looking at the road fatalities. We know that 2020 was the year when COVID-19 hit, and of course there was a lot of restrictions around traveling. If you look at last year, we recorded a decrease here in Gauteng of about 18% of those road fatalities. We know that quite a number of people also still died despite having recorded those decreases. So we're expecting then that the Transport Minister will give us an indication of what this year looks like. You'll remember just last year he said over 6,000 people had died in the first 20 days of the festive season. While he was launching the festive campaign, the festive season campaign, road safety campaign, he did indicate that there was indeed a decrease in the number of road fatalities. He indicated that what the numbers are showing is that the strategy that they have on the ground seems to be working at this point. So there you have it, the minister there on your screen. He's also, like I indicated earlier on, joined by the MEC of Roads and Transport here in Gauteng, Jacob Mamabulo. It looks like they're currently getting a briefing in terms of what is happening here on this particular highway. So essentially then we're expecting that they'll do a couple of checks here and there, and if they have perhaps new technology that they want to introduce to the media or the general public, then they'll do that. This is, of course, a part of the program. It usually happens in this. The minister will also engage the travelers on this road, making sure that everyone is adhering to the rules of the road. Ayanda?
Absolutely. Of course, Linda, one of the other things to look out for once that briefing starts from the minister is the cause of fatalities on the country's roads, at least this time around. We've heard in the past that pedestrians, ironically, are contributing significantly to the number of road fatalities that we see typically.
Absolutely, and you'll remember that it's one of the things that the minister as well as the authorities have been raising quite often as, of course, they look at the issue around road fatalities. Let's listen into what the minister has to say.
That is the main highlight of today, is preliminary statistics to say how is the campaign going thus far, but also to keep people abreast about festive season and the scourge of road accidents on our roads. Where do we stand compared to last year? The effectiveness of the message, is it sinking? And the kind of accidents we have, what kind of accident we have, who do they affect? As we go deep into the festive season, motorists and everybody need to know exactly where are we, so that we drive the message of people. If the scourge is going up, to basically come down, and that's what we do year in and year out.
How are we looking this time around for now? I know you will.
Well, yeah, we will tell you. We'll tell you at the time.
Positive or negative?
It has never been positive, the death of one person. We've had terrible accidents on our roads, from minibus taxis, 13 people dying on the spot. It's terrible. It's terrible. It's a disaster. So if you've got such, it tells you the state of mind. Last night, we were on the N1 with you guys last night. You saw that we impounded minibus taxis who are not roadworthy from 2019. But a person still have the audacity to drive from Johannesburg, Alexander, to Bochum in Limpopo with a car that is not roadworthy. And then they work on the business of avoiding traffic cops and police on the road. That tells you the state of mind of our motorists. They don't value life and all of that. So the law must bite.
But you've been saying that for years, Minister.
It's not for years. No, it's not for years. I've been minister for 2.5 years. Jericho has never transformed in 2 years. And then I've been saying, in 2 years I've been here, I managed to bring down the statistics 1 year with 10%. And then we've been building on that. So let's not make like things have not been improving. Of course, you do have the challenges. To change the law, to amend the law, it takes a longer period. And you know, we have been saying, one, we need to strengthen the law in terms of drink and driving. And then we're in the process of implementing ARTO with all the challenges we've got in terms of litigation and it being challenged. So nothing is smooth sailing. So we are working to do what it is necessary to be done to strengthen the law, because as long as the consequence management for the motorist is It's like, you know, something that people think I can do this and then pass on the other hand and all of that. So without even nothing, you know, if consequence is hard, and then you will know that you will never come next to that car drunk.
Let's talk about COVID-19 compliance. I'm sure you're conducting these roadblocks during this pandemic.
Yes.
What is your view on how motorists are behaving in terms of mask wearing, social distancing, taxis and public transport providing sanitizers?
Look, from what I've seen on the road thus far and on the ground and I've seen compliance, 100%. On that side of COVID, I've seen compliance, 100%. People are masking and all of that in terms of the taxis and even ordinary vehicles, you know, normal vehicles and so on. People are compliant. I mean, you can get into the taxi, look at the taxi driver there. He's got his mask full on. So, because it is mandatory. But I can tell you that there's been order all round on the road in terms of a means of mass transport. There's been compliance. We do have some who don't comply, who don't comply and so on, but they are not in large numbers. But from the point of view of the motorist and so on, I've seen comply with my eyes, naked eyes. I've seen it. Yeah.
Including your classes?
Including my classes, exactly. Including my classes. I've seen it from last night. And then I was with your guys. ENCA has been with us. Newzroom has been with us. Of course, the public broadcaster will come maybe today for the statistics. So, but we're doing the job of, you are helping us to get the message out there and to encourage our people to comply. And at the same time, law enforcement in full force. Where we are here now, it is a hotspot, a big hotspot. Many accidents happen here and so on. So you can see there is, these cops, some of them have not slept. I think they slept only for 2 hours from last night and others in other highways. Visibility 24/7 wire. We nap a lot of wrongdoing here. I mean, alcohol and all of those unroadworthy vehicles and so on.
Are you going to be focusing on other hotspots such as Molodo Road?
Yes, we do. As you see us here today, it doesn't mean that the country is shut and focused on one place. All hotspots are covered. As you would have heard from our launch, we said, and we mentioned what are those hotspots. And we have not gotten a lot of accidents from our hotspots. It has just been just on the road, you know, like in the Free State. 2 minibus taxis colliding with each other. So all the hotspots in the country where we normally get the statistics up are actually covered.
Let's release you. Thank you very much for chatting.
Thank you very much.
All right, so there you have it, Ayanda. That is the Transport Minister, Fikile Mbalula, giving us an indication perhaps of what we can expect when he finally gives us those statistics, telling us why we're here, indicating that this is one of the hot spots that they want to particularly focus on. He's touched on the issue around COVID-19 as well, saying that from what he's seen so far, there's been quite a lot of compliance from the taxis as well as, some of the commuters really that take those taxis, like I indicated earlier on, around the issue of the minister really engaging with some of the motorists here. There you're having it playing out live on your screen right now. The minister also taking the time to further elaborate on issues around, what they as the leaders in this country have been saying, particularly when it comes to the reduction of road fatalities. He says he's been in office for 2 years. He managed to reduce the road fatalities by 10% in 1 year. And that, of course, Rome was not built in 1 day. And that begs the question, really, around how many years it will take to reduce the road fatalities, especially given the fact that
the ANC has had its ministers come in and out of this ministry since the dawn of democracy, really. So what will it take then for authorities to change the law, to make sure that the rules are stricter, and to ensure that, of course, the roads are also capacitated, besides just the motorists having to comply to the rules. So essentially then, of course, he will be answering those questions at a later stage.
Right. And Linda, very quickly, I mean, you know, it was quite interesting to hear the minister saying there, after being asked whether or not the stats are showing a positive or a negative sign, he responded by saying that it's never a good story to tell. And that really is what is important to keep in mind here, that even just one death is one too many.
Absolutely, and it's the same issue that he raised last year, that despite us having seen decreases last year, you know, the issue around deaths, one death is one too many, and really they can never celebrate until we've seen a total reduction of the number of people that died on our roads, particularly during this festive season. And when you look at the seasons like the Easter weekends as well, which is one of the things that they speak about quite often when these seasons hit. He says this will kind of gauge whether or not the message is getting through to the people. Of course, platforms like media platforms become also quite important in relaying that message. Will it be enough? Will we see them changing the law quicker than they send out messages? That's another thing I end up.
Absolutely. Plenty to look forward to. Thanks for breaking it down for us. Linda Mnisi, live to us there along a stretch of road of the Mabopane highway in Soshanguve. There you can see live as it happens the inspection of several vehicles, including taxis that have passengers on board. Transport Minister Fikile Mbalula there in frame in part. You can see this individual didn't have his seatbelt on. I imagine that might get him into some kind of trouble. As an aside, I do sometimes wonder to myself what it might feel like to one day approach a roadblock and then have a minister come towards your window to, I guess, check compliance. But nonetheless, on a very serious note, a very important story this that we'll keep watching for you. As soon as the minister is all set up and is ready to deliver those latest road fatality statistics, catch it live right here on Newzroom Channel 405.